The National Football League has created years of excitement and fun for fans all over the nation. However, it's also riddled with scandals and cheating. Teams that are caught are usually pretty harshly punished. However, when good teams cheat, nonetheless in the Super Bowl, it creates a lot of controversy in the league. A virtually unknown case about the Denver Broncos from the years 1996 to 1998 is when the Denver Broncos started paying their players outside of the league-mandated salary cap. And during this time, they also won back-to-back Super Bowls. I'm going to tell you about the issues raised from this and moral questions that were asked about the league. For some backstory, in 1996, the Broncos were paying $100 million of their $401 million new stadium called Invesco Field, which was replacing Mile High Field, according to Mark Mask with the Washington Post. And from these years, they all circumvented the cap in each year. They were found guilty of paying $29 million in deferred payments to Terrell Davis and John Elway, two of their biggest stars, in 1996. And their claim to doing that was that they were short on money from the stadium, which to any outsider would seem like a decent, reasonable thing, just a little going around the rules. But then they were guilty of the exact same thing in the following years, when unnamed players were given deferred payments with interest on them for their contracts. And one particularly concerning player was John Elway, who was earning just over $2 million per year in 1997 and 98, which was much cheaper than any other quarterback in the entire NFL at that time. John Elway was a star for the Broncos, and to see him getting paid this little was somewhat suspicious, if not concerning. The Broncos were using their deferred payments to make the salaries cheaper for their players, in which they could possibly sign more players in free agency to play for the team, or they might make better players want to come to Denver because they could pay them more money, because the salary cap was open. If it had happened in a down season for an NFL team, any team, no one really would have batted an eye. It would have just been any other scandal. They would have fined them and probably given them their punishment, and it would have been over with. However, the Broncos were not having an off season. They were, from those years, they were playoff contenders, and they won back-to-back Super Bowls in 97 and 98 seasons. And for each violation, the Broncos were stripped of a third-round draft pick and fined heavily. The question that a lot of people were asking, though, is what should the league do about this? The Broncos claimed that there was no competitive advantage gained from it. However, that probably should be taken with a grain of salt because they were the team that did all this, so they would just probably be trying to defend them. So it's up to all of us to decide. Some people also claim that they should lose their Super Bowl titles for what they've done, in which, according to Gordon Forbes with USA Today, the Raiders owner Al Davis claimed that teams circumventing the salary cap got a proverbial slap on the wrist for the severity of the action. And he even went as far as to suggest that the Broncos' Super Bowl wins should be listed with asterisks next to them based on what they did to acquire them. But the problem is with that, there is no way to really be able to tell what kind of competitive advantage, if any, was truly gained from it. Would they have had the same exact free agent sign with them either way? Did they not have any extras? Were they just paying extra money in which the people would have gone to them either way? I mean, there's no way to turn back time to figure it out. Some people will argue that they deserved the punishment, or that they even deserved a harsher punishment for what they got, losing draft picks and a harder fine. But the problem is, it's up to us to decide what we think about this issue. Because some people don't believe they should have been punished at all, because there was no hard evidence that any of it truly impacted what happened on the field, and there's no way to know for sure. One thing, though, is for certain, is that football should continue to be fun for everybody, and it's our job to keep it that way.